everyone, I hope you're having a great summer and a lovely bank holiday weekend. Sorry it's a bit late, but hopefully better late than never. I'm just going to do very quick back release exercises, just so if you've got 5 minutes, might just help loosen things up again if your back's feeling a bit stiff. So first of all, we're going to go into our relaxation position. So generally, for most of us, it's better to lie onto our side, roll onto our back, keeping our knees bent, and just check we're in our neutral position. So by that, I mean we're finding our hip bones at the front of our pelvis, and they should be level with each other. So you can check just using your fingertips to come across, and they should also be level with your belly button and your pubic bone. So then we should have our neutral shape of our spine. I'm not pressing my lumbar spine into the mat, I'm just keeping everything nice and neutral. Try to keep the legs in line with those hip bones and the legs and feet parallel as well. Okay, let the ribs soften down. If you need a little cushion or something, a little folded towel under your head, you can use that. So the neck should be in its neutral position as well, with the chin and the forehead parallel with the ceiling and the floor. To start with, just remind yourself of your Pilates breathing. So you could bring your hands around by the side of your ribs and start to think about your breath. So taking a wide breath in through your nose. Try and let the back and sides of your ribs expand, and then a long breath out. Trying to let every drop of air go. So give yourself a chance to do a few breaths there. And then when you sort of got into that, when you then exhale, just waking up your centre, that little lift and scoop inside. So really letting everything soften and sink into that mat. Okay. So after that, a few of those, so feel free to pause if you want to take a little bit longer with that. We'll just do a few little pelvic tilts. So you can either keep your hands where they are, or on your pelvis, or by your side, whatever feels comfortable for you. So just breathing gently, centre lightly engaged, and just let that tailbone begin to curl up a tiny bit, and then releasing back to neutral. Okay, so let it curl up and release back to your neutral shape. Okay, so as even as you can, try to keep that same distance, rib to hip, on both sides. Okay. Hopefully just that simple movement should start to loosen things up a little bit. And just be careful that you do return to neutral, that you're not going to go so far that you start to over-exaggerate that curve of your lumbar spine. You can also try to keep your knees, legs still, pointing up to the ceiling, and just see, it's probably very hard to see on here, so apologies for that, but you're just trying to let your pelvis tilt sideways around your legs. If it's tricky for your legs not to interfere, you might want to just have a cushion between your knees, so that will help keep them nice and stable. And if you wanted to from there, pelvic clocks, we imagine we've got a clock face on our tummy, so our hip bones are 3 and 9 o'clock, belly button and pubic bone are 6 and 12 o'clock, and you can just start to try and roll that marble around the clock face a few times in each direction. Or maybe another image you could think about would be thinking about a little roulette wheel spinning around with that ball sinking in as you stir that pelvis around. Okay? And then just returning back to your neutral shape. If your neck feels a little tight or a little stiff, few chin tucks would be great. So same idea as the movement we did with the pelvis, but we're lengthening the back of the neck as you draw the chin down a little bit without squashing, like an imaginary peach or something under your chin, and then just returning to that neutral position where your chin and forehead are parallel with the ceiling. Okay, just a few. Neck lengthen out, keeping that sense of length. You can let your head roll to the side, back through centre, and then over to the other side. So just a few times to each way to loosen up either end of your spine. When you come back to the middle, we're just going to go into a few simple spine curls. So do just double check the feet are level, pelvis is neutral, and then we'll take a wide breath. As you breathe out, we'll gently engage your centre and then just starting with that pelvic tilt, and then we're going to slowly continue that movement, trying to articulate one vertebrae at a time to the point where you come up and you're neutral again. So bottom should be working, hamstrings a little bit, breath at the top, and then as you breathe out, lengthening, peeling and melting that spine back into the mat. Okay, so you can do a few more of those. Pause if you want to do a few more. I'm just going to do a couple of each thing at the moment to show you for this video. The breath at the top, and then as you exhale, softening, peeling and wheeling the spine all the way back down to neutral. Maybe about 8 to 10 of those if you've got time and you want to loosen up a little bit more. And then we'll bring the legs and the feet together and do a few hip rolls. So bring arms out to the side, palms facing upwards, kind of low V, so open across the chest. Check that you haven't started to arch the ribs, so keep them heavy and softened down, and you may well need a cushion under your head if you don't have one already. Keep the legs and feet glued together, and then as you exhale the centre, let the pelvis and the legs peel over to one side. Head can stay centred or turn the opposite way. Try and keep the upper back and your shoulder blades glued to the mat. Breath there, and then spiralling back to the centre. Wide breath. As you breathe out in the centre, just peeling over, legs one way, head opposite way, or keep it centred. Breath there to come back again. Okay. Maybe 8 to each side. I'm just going to do another one to show you here. Okay. Another lovely stretch if your back is feeling stiff or your hips are feeling stiff. Bring the legs back to hip width. As you breathe out and just lightly centre, we're just going to bring one leg up and loosely hug behind the back of the middle of your thigh. If it's hard to reach, you could use a scarf or prop your head up a little bit more and just slide the other leg away. So let that feel heavy, lengthen out the front of that hip. Few big breaths there. Centre gently engaged to slide that leg back in and then switch over. And sliding away, few breaths. And after 2 or 3 long, slow breaths, sliding that leg back in, and you can lower down. Also, might be helpful for low back release to just think about your glute and piriformis stretch, as though that we knee fold, and then from the hip you're going to turn out, so your back of your heel rests on your knee. Try and keep the pelvis and the waist square. If that's enough of a stretch, leave it there. If not, breath and centre a little bit more and bringing that other leg up so you're loosely hugging around the back of that thigh. You can use your forearm to push into that thigh if that helps you, but make sure knees are comfortable. It's not comfortable for everybody's knees. If you come to my classes, you'll know your option and variation for this one. Few breaths there, and then lower down in one piece. Careful not to let your back arch. Unhook that leg and lower it down. And then same on the other side, so that leg can come up, so you knee fold, turn out, maybe stay there, or maybe bringing that other leg up as well, hugging that in, and just pushing that thigh out a little bit, so few breaths into there. And after those few breaths, you can lower down and return. Some of you might like to just hug both legs in. I suggest just underneath the knees rather than squashing and compressing the knees. And here, if it's helpful for you, just let that tailbone curl up a little bit, but still keep your centre engaged. So a few breaths into there. And then you can lower down one leg at a time. Okay, and then we're going to just roll onto our side. And hopefully that's enough to keep you going with for now. Enjoy your bank holiday weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.